Alrighty, my guys. It's Dave here again to rattle your bones with a review about a game that I truly adore. A game that has taken pieces of my sanity, health, caused my wife to leave me, kids to hate me, and will continue to reap all that is good from my life for the foreseeable future. So I invite you all to spread thy cheeks, pepper thy Anguses, and prepare thyself for the veiny iron rod of your god. 'Cause this is Kenshi. Kenshi is an indie-made, squad-based, open-world, open-ended, simulator RPG-style game created by former toilet cleaner and nighttime security guard Chris Hunt and his, at the time, one-man game studio Lo-Fi Games, and released officially December 6, 2018. Now, it's not lost on me how absolutely ridiculous all of that sounds. But not only was Kenshi a best-selling game upon release, but it's also in the top 100 most played games on Steam as of 2019. With hundreds of hours played per person, almost 1,000 myself, and a Steam rating of 9 out of 10 with over 30,000 reviews, the vast majority of them being overwhelmingly positive. But what we're here to talk about is what kind of a game Kenshi is. So, what is Kenshi? Kenshi is a goddamn beautiful fucking nightmare. Kenshi is like paying for a piping hot coffee enema, but getting a free slice of pie with it. Pie that's so good, you keep coming back for more, despite your insides starting to look like Freddy Krueger's scrotum. Kenshi is a priceless work of art that has been slathered in a layer of your pride and shame, and it feeds on your fucking tears. You think Dark Souls is rough? You've clearly never seen a horde of beak things chasing you down. But I digress. Unlike my usual reviews, where I discuss mechanics, graphics, etc., I think that would do Kenshi a disservice because there's so much more than that. Plus, the sheer amount of content that the game has, I don't think I'd be able to cover it in a decent-length video. The reality is, Kenshi is a simple game with simple but unique mechanics and infinite possibilities. You see, the entire idea behind the game is to tell you that you don't matter. You're not important, and when you die, it will mean nothing. So basically, Kenshi is my high school guidance counselor. Now, the positive aspect of having such an open-ended game is that the world truly is your oyster to do with what you please. You want to be a mercenary or a shopkeeper? Do that. Want to be a thief or a farmer? Do that. Want to buy and sell slaves? Do that. Want to make and sell illegal narcotics? Do fucking that. There is no story in Kenshi. No quests, no missions, no overarching plot. You are a random person placed onto the desert moon of Kenshi, a world with a rich history of wars, two fallen empires, deep-rooted hate, and misguided fanatics. And the game tells you none of this. In fact, on first glance, you would think that Kenshi is some poorly thought-out planet with superficial history. But the reality is, the entire lore of the game is cleverly hidden through environmental clues, NPC remarks, and subtext. And the more I dug into the lore of the game, I found it more and more fascinating. Now, I will gladly put together a lore video explaining the rich history of the world of Kenshi if that's something you would all be interested in seeing. So leave a like and comment down below if you guys want me to do a second narrated video that dives fully into the lore of Kenshi that we know. But for right now, let's focus on the game itself. So, the first thing you're going to do upon loading up Kenshi is pick a start. There is a wide variety of different starts, all with their own physical upsides and downsides, mostly downsides. And then you're going to jump into character creation. Now, Kenshi's world is populated by several species with their own histories, appearances, buffs, debuffs to their stats, and abilities to learn various tasks like farming, smithing, combat stats like strength, dexterity, toughness, etc., as well as proficiency with weapon types and leveling skills with those weapons. There are humans who are alright at all the things, the hivers who are bug people who are shitty at most of the things, unless they're in large numbers, and the Shek who are humanoid people with bones on the outside, who are good at beating up the other things. And then the skeletons, who are AI robots that appear to be good at all of the things, but can't be healed by traditional means. You can morph and mold their appearance to suit your needs, as well as create some truly horrifying abominations. Now, the best way for me to really show you how unforgiving Kenshi is to walk you through a typical start in Kenshi. Or several. So here we have Giorgio, our humble loner with his friendly bone dog. The game planted me in the region of Bast, an area that is currently the site of a massive war between the Holy Nation, a cult of religious fanatics that hate all non-male, non-Greenlander humans, and the United Cities, the empire of openness and equality, except for the several hundred slaves. And the cannibal tribes, they eat people. The first thing I need to do is get some decent equipment to protect myself. To that end, I see a small skirmish outside of my initial location and choose to investigate. By that, I mean I loot the corpses for some gear. This actually starts out pretty well, until I'm spotted by members of the United City seeing me steal off the freshly fucked corpse of their fallen comrade, and decide to teach me a lesson by making my insides my outside. 5 minutes in, Giorgio and his faithful doggo are bleeding out in the dirt. Welcome to Kenshi, bitch. This time around, Giorgio Mark II starts out on a shitty little decimated town in the border zone, the area between the Shet Kingdom and their eternal enemies, the Holy Nation. I decided the best thing for me to do would be to head to the nearby town of Squin and gather up some currency and maybe start to build some numbers, because in Kenshi, numbers can be as defining as skill in a fight. Upon arrival, I recruited the disgraced former Shek soldier named Ruka, and we set off to the path for adventure. Until we were attacked by a group of slavers, beaten within an inch of our lives and taken as slaves. Kenshi. So, in our chains, we walked, and walked, and walked, until eventually we found ourselves in the center of Holy Nation territory. It was there our chance to escape presented itself. The slaver party were traveling when they were attacked by a pack of wild bone dogs. During the ensuing chaos, Ruka and Giorgio ran off, hoping to slip out of the chaos and plan their next move. However, during the fight, a third party of starving bandits showed up and proceeded to knock Ruka the fuck out, and tears her goddamn arm off. Realizing there's nothing I can do, Giorgio presses on and leaves Luca to bleed out in the harsh desert of Kenshi at the hands of anorexic bandits and bone dogs. Just then, however, Ruka awakens from her club-induced roofie and manages to catch up to Giorgio, who had become himself knocked out by bandits. It's a goddamn miracle. She heals him up and we wait for Giorgio to come to so he can escape to freedom. But you'd be a fool if you think Kenshi is going to be that kind to you. Oh no, my guys. That would be too much. It's around this time that a bone dog shows up and turns Ruka into a bitch witch, and she is left to bleed out mere feet away from the unconscious Giorgio. Fuck. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the slavers pop up and enslave us again, making everything that just happened completely pointless. Kenshi. But wait, there's more. They left my guy Giorgio behind. Probably because he was too beat up to do anything for them. So, after my guy wakes up, I decide to mount a rescue attempt on Ruka, who is currently with the slavers, except for one of her arms that is also currently being digested in a bone dog's stomach, and is on her way to work in a slave camp. I sprint with the speed of Usain Bolt to her location. I run day and night, only to find her bleeding out in the center of the road. Not sure what happened there. So I heal her up and we continue our journey. Sadly, at this point, we were far too into hostile territory to risk heading back south, so we decided to move north into the mountains to avoid capture as newfound escaped slaves. Things are finally starting to look up for these two. Until they were attacked by the Holy Nation, enslaved again, Giorgio bled out in custody, and Ruka was left alone with one arm in a cage. Kenshi. Alright, this time around I started with 5 guys, and we're ready to go. Giorgio Mark III and his homies move out into the world to set up shop and make something of themselves. Oh, for fuck's sake. And this is just how it goes in the unforgiving world of Kenshi. There will be no favors here. Whether it be bandits, cannibals, skimmers, rebels, or spiders, you can be sure that Kenshi will bend you over and root you at every opportunity it can. So why do we keep coming back? Well, to put it frankly, it's incredible. The game is unforgiving, but when you manage to pull yourself out of the mud and create this capable fighter or rich, powerful merchant or whatever you feel like doing, you start to see the world for more than just a Nazi-style torture device. The world space, the combat mechanics, like losing limbs and replacing them with cybernetics. The idea of trying to balance a massive army and maintaining the ability to feed them. The idea that you can take a lone slave and become a leader of a massive empire with dozens of individual soldiers at your disposal. Or even just carving out a meager living as a shopkeeper, a bodyguard to some nomadic caravan. The possibilities are endless, and the ability to assign roles to automate tasks, meaning you can create functional business, society, army, farms, slave trade, drug den, whatever you want. Honestly, I could go on for hours about Kenshi and all of the different people, places, mechanics, and roles. But in the spirit of keeping this video from being 3 hours long, I will simply end with this. Kenshi is the kind of game where you will want to ram your head into the wall, turn to drugs, sell your worldly belongings, change your name to Sir Duck McFuck, and isolate yourself in the mountains because it's just too much to handle. And yet, you will instead keep playing and pushing to beat the odds, and become the hero not only of Kenshi but of your own story. Kenshi is like The Sims. Shogun Total War and Fallout had a baby, and then they tossed it into a dumpster fire to kill it before it became too powerful. But they failed, and it lived, and it's coming for you. Because this is Kenshi, my guy, and it doesn't give a fuck about you.